Hi,
How is everybody?
we're great. How you doing, Sue?
It's Sue Lawton and Deb Weyland, and we are with you. How is
Yes, we are.
everybody? We
Hi, everyone.
everyone's doing good.
That's great.
Okay, we just had a handout. Um, some people said they're having difficulty downloading them. Just be persistent because the handouts are important. And if it doesn't work, it's okay. Just write to us and we will send it to you. And Pat, a whole bunch of people are saying hello, hello, people.
Hello.
So, healing can only take place when grief is not rushed, shamed, or tabooed.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are surprised at the many ways their emotions can be tipped into a grief response. So, we
Mm-hmm.
tried to list some of the things here that will tip people into a grieving response.
Right. And some are really expected to be there, but others that are different. If you've suffered a theft in your home or on your person, or your health has changed, or even for me, I see it in school. A lot of kids, when they're forced to move to a new location and a new school, they do go through the similar feelings of a loss because they've left everyone that they know behind.
Yes. Big changes will evoke a grief response. I have friends who have built homes, built cottages. We're all excited about building something brand new on a piece of land, and it came together after years of dreaming and wanting. And 2 weeks after they're in their house, they call me and say, "What's wrong with me? Why am I not happy?" Well, it's not that you're not happy, but this is such a big change, it's evoked the grieving response. And what's important is no matter how busy we are, because got to remember everyone is time poor, everyone is like so full of the zest for life, they're never done with whatever they want to do next.
Mm-hmm.
That vibrational density is what happens when we avoid our feelings. So,
Right.
we're going to talk today about identifying when you may have gotten slowed down, when you thought you should just keep moving, keep moving. That was a disappointment, but I'm going to keep moving.
Right.
And perhaps you suppressed feelings rather than processed them.
Ooh. And suppressing them isn't always the best thing for us. So we're going to find ways to help us.
Yes.
Ooh. It says it deeply saddens me that we live in a world where grievers have to defend their right to grieve. The only thing it does is create more grief.
Yes, because people are in denial about the fact that they will cease to exist when there is a big disappointment, when there is a loss, when a relationship changes, or people recognize that a relationship was really out of balance for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
they are sad, they're disappointed. There's a big range of feelings that they're not quite sure what to do with.
Mm-hmm.
And forgive is an extraordinary blend that I have found really does help people get on with the process,
Mm-hmm.
because you got to forgive yourself for putting yourself on hold. It's really important that you go through the grieving process. Don't judge me. Grief is not too short and it's not too long. It's not too weak and it's not too strong. What is, it is what it is, and it's never wrong. So, you lose a pet, and a year later, you're in a park, just walking through the park, and a dog that looked just like yours is playing with their master, and you are suddenly overcome with grief. You are suddenly missing your pet again. It's a surprise, it's an intrusion on whatever your head was going for today. When these
Mm-hmm.
things happen, you have essential oils. and it will be a good reminder to help you process, and however long it takes, whenever it surprises you, is the right time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you can't allow other people's feelings about when you should grieve or when you should be over grieving to interfere with your own process. Everyone's different. And sometimes people that supposedly care about us try to control when our grief will end. And we have to go through it in a way that we need to.
Yeah, one of the things that always puzzles me is people say, well, you should be over that by now.
Right.
And I go, over? I
Well,
mean,
I love the one, well, you're such a smart person. Why aren't you dealing with this better? It has
yeah,
nothing to do with being smart, you
yes,
know?
yes, it's a feeling. It's not a process. It was a process. I'd have it done in 20 minutes.
That's right. And it's perfect for what this slide is saying. Grief is not linear. It doesn't start strong and taper off with time. Rather, there's times it's like a storm. It grows smaller or larger, all in the same day and often within hours. So it's ever changing, and we can't expect any one feeling or any one sense of time for how we have to deal with it.
Right. And in my age group, and Deb is much younger than I, but in our age group, we are the majority of the population. So a lot of us are losing parents. Some of us have even lost siblings.
Mm-hmm.
So in our case, John and I personally, in the last 3 years, we've both lost parents and siblings.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you have a group of things that happen, or one on top of another, you think
Right.
you've gotten accustomed to separation from one joyful relationship or one influential relationship. And all of a sudden, new triggers occur, or groups of triggers, or you went, oh, I didn't realize a simple bingo game would make me miss my sister so much. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's interesting how human emotions work, and you have to allow the process. And please don't apologize for not feeling like you want to participate with something. That's wrong.
Mm-hmm. And it's amazing, like you said, what the triggers are. It could be a bingo game. For me, after losing my dad, it was whenever I would see his type of truck, and it was the color of his truck, because he had that big beast.
Yes.
But they weren't that common. So when it did drive by me, it would evoke that memory again. So, we just don't know what the triggers are for those feelings. It might be a TV show. It could be something that we read, but it's there.
Yes. Okay, and there's a great myth going around. Let's go
Mm-hmm.
get our friend who's a recent widow, and let's go take her shopping. Let's take her to lunch. Let's sign her up for exercise classes. Let's keep her busy because that'll help her.
Mm-mm.
No, that's a serious myth.
Right.
Keeping busy fills time, but it's like punching a time clock.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you seriously sit down and start journaling, unless you seriously sit quietly with yourself, or you go for a walk by yourself, you listen to music by yourself, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Because when somebody loses a relationship they've had for a number of years, whether it's through a death or a divorce, or even somebody gets shipped overseas and they can't take their family because they're doing secret stuff,
That's right.
the grief response is big time because the identity is affected. Day to day life is dramatically affected, and
Mm-hmm.
aren't necessarily allowed to plan for it. All
That's
these
right.
things evoke feelings.
Right. And as it says, keeping busy helps to keep your mind off it, but it doesn't heal it. It's just postponing your actual having to deal with that inner pain. So keeping busy is great. And a lot of times parents do that to kind of help their children through something too when there's been a family loss, but it's still not overcoming that feeling, those feelings of grief.
Grief is its own thing.
Yeah. It's not like it's in me and I'm going to deal with it. It's a thing you have to be okay with its presence. If you try to ignore it, it'll be like a wolf at your door. It's
Yes,
always coming knocking, right?
yes, yes. And if you feel bad, say, I'm feeling different today. I'm dealing with bad feeling soup. I am processing, and I just really can't focus on you got a leaky bottle of Melaleuca. Sorry, not on my hit parade today.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I say to people, if you're feeling bad, don't answer the phone. Let it go to voicemail.
Mm-hmm.
If they leave you a message that seems like it would be good for you to respond, put on some oils, decide what you're going to respond, then call them back.
Mm-hmm.
Not get caught on the phone thinking it'll be a good distraction, and all of a sudden, oh, boo hoo hoo, I'm feeling so bad. No, it's something you have to process. No one else can fix that for you.
I like this. There's no one size fits all in grief. It's unique to every individual. There's no time limit. The mileage is unknown. It's your own journey, but you are not alone. Just because you have accepted the death of a loved one doesn't mean you have to be happy about it. We must try living forward. And that is our goal through all of this, that we want to move forward, but it's still a process, right?
Oh, it's a serious process that
Mm-hmm.
is very important, that when you understand it's about you and about your sorting what's really important to you, like when parents have passed and you're not interacting with them anymore, your holidays are different, your celebrations are different,
Oh,
your
yes.
relationships with everyone else is different.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that you ever forget them or you forget the virtues they confirmed within you or you forget the lessons. Like one of the hardest things for me with people is when somebody says, oh, we had a terribly dysfunctional home life and I learned how to please my parents, but I didn't understand I would have different choices. And people start at a very mature age to try to figure out what's really important for them. What do they like? What do they want to do? In the case
Mm-hmm.
of widows or widowers, it's a very similar situation going from a couple to a
Mm-hmm.
single parent or a single person. It's
Mm-hmm.
very challenging, and no one can patch that for you. Nobody can put a band aid on it. Nobody can make you feel better about how you view you.
Mm-hmm. A dear friend of mine lost her husband not too long ago, and she was just talking to me the other day, and she said what bothers her is when they sit down at a table, and now it's an uneven amount of people. So she always feels like the fifth, the seventh, the ninth, and she's no longer part of that couple, that twosome anymore. And she said that's when it hits home to her during those times. So
Right.
everyone has a different.
Right, because every relationship is unique, and whether
Mm-hmm.
it's with siblings or parents or best friends or
Mm-hmm.
special pets or even retirement. I work with people who go through retirement, and if they aren't prepared seriously for what they're going to do, what their new purpose is, and what their new identity is, a lot of people go through grief for a really long time, and lamentation is a place you don't want to go. Here's one of the things
Mm-mm.
I recommend to people all the time. If you're having emotional bad soup day, give yourself permission to not be so productive. Give yourself permission to sort about what it is you like and you want to keep in your life and what you're going to do differently.
It's true. You need time to do what you want to do and that you are recovering. And as Sue said earlier, it's perfectly okay to say, not today. I don't want to be with you today. I'm just going to take it easy. And that's perfectly acceptable.
Oh, it's great. It is really great. I remember when 9/11 happened and I went and picked up Mary Beth from high school because I knew probably better than most people around what it meant. And we just stayed home because my husband was in the air that morning traveling to Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
And so we didn't know where he was. We just stayed home and watched movies, kept each other company until he was able to get back home to us. That's how we spent that time in the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
But the mental health part of that is Mary Beth still remembers the silly movies we watched. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Jim Carrey, Liar, Liar, made us laugh in spite of how stressed we were.
Mm-hmm. And for both of you, that was the perfect way to cope with everything you were dealing with that day.
Right. And we had lots of calls from people who wanted to come over and hang out. And I said, yeah, you can come over and hang out, but we're not watching TV. We're not going there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then when the
Right.
Humvee, and I got the call on my special phone, said we're going into the city, I had Mary Beth's best friends come over, and they all camped out at the house because I had to go help with what was going on with the firemen. It all
Right.
worked out well, but
Mm-hmm.
we talked openly about what is going on here.
Right. How could a person begin to describe the deep ache from loss? There are no words that can come close to touching the pain. And everyone's story is different. No one's going to express it the same way. No one's going to use the same words. Everyone has something different in their heart in the way that they feel it. So don't expect to hear words that you would say from someone else because everyone else is dealing with it in a different way.
Right. And when we go to funeral homes and we go to wakes, we stay very focused on saying, I am here to comfort you, and I'm sad for your loss.
Yes.
People who go to wakes and cry and sob when they didn't even know the person is extremely selfish. Don't go. You're not contributing in any way. You're just sitting there saying, oh, this could be me. Oh, this could be my sister. Oh, this could be, oh, it's so terrible. No, you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to be there for the people who have suffered the loss.
Mm-hmm.
And by all means, please bring children because that's part of the natural order of things, and how you explain it with your body language and your interaction with the people who have lost will educate them that it's okay because it's just part of life.
Right. It reduces some of their fears. Absolutely.
And we have our friends, vetiver and marjoram, which are extraordinarily important when you're
Yay.
having bad days and you've made commitments, whether it's a work life or making presentations or whatever you're doing. It's very important that you like you for keeping your word.
Mm-hmm.
So do not confuse my bad days as a sign of weakness. Those are actually the days I'm fighting my hardest.
It's true.
And it's part of process. Process is the feelings come up and you get to resort them now without anyone else filtering it for you.
Right. And sometimes what people don't realize is that their storytelling of their own losses is not helpful to you. So as Sue said before, be supportive and just have an open ear to listen to what the person going through it has to say.
Yeah, listen is a big key if they want to talk. In our neighborhood, as kids growing up, we had 52 different nationalities, literally. So we learned a lot of culture and tradition in our old neighborhood in Detroit. And we had a wonderful Hasidic Jewish family living right next door. And when someone passed, they do this wonderful thing called sitting Shiva because they buried the dead very quickly. And then for 7 or 21 days, depending on how they're connected with their community.
Right.
24/7, people come and just sit in the home with them, keeping them company. It's called sitting Shiva. People bring food, and if people want to talk, they talk. Otherwise, they just sit in the silence. And it's really neat. The mirrors are covered. There's no TV. There's no electronics. It's, respect for the passing of the soul.
And support for the one left behind just by being there, just with your presence and nothing else, which is very nice.
Yes.
Yep.
And got to remember, sometimes when people are irritable, angry is just sad's bodyguard. Don't push people. Don't insist that, if they're on the bowling league and they want to skip another Thursday, just quietly get the sub. Don't say, well, I thought you'd be doing better than that by now. Rude. Okay. Who left you in charge of somebody else's emotions? Okay.
Right.
Okay. Let's talk about essential oils and affirmations.
Woohoo!
Going to use a couple examples we have here. Roman chamomile, bergamot, and helichrysum together.
Wonderful, wonderful combo.
Leave old blocks due to learned bitter expectations. It'll help you clear the fog. This webinar is about clarity, understanding, I don't really have a solid reason to feel bad today. So obviously I'm grieving. I'm grieving about change that was inflicted on me without my decisions, the surprises that occurred. So I'm going to use Roman chamomile, bergamot, and helichrysum and put it on my sternum, put it in the back of my neck. I can diffuse it, and it's going to be very helpful to relieve tension, irritability, insomnia, anxiety, sudden mood swings, or frustration. Unexpressed anger may be the root of this kind of behavior during the grieving process. And at the bottom, you saw some suggestions about affirmations to say. Whenever we apply oils, you will improve your spirit if you declare an affirmation.
Right, and I love some of these. I'm drawing amazing people to me who understand, and that's really so important. And I'm willing to let go of toxic people. As you always say, pay attention to how we react to those around us and see if we even want to be in their company.
Yeah, because sometimes very talented, sensitive people fall into roles on an everyday basis, whether it's at work or building a business, where they feel like they have to take care of other people. They have to listen to their stories. They have to support their chaos. Well, when you suffer a loss, whether it's a long-term, pet or a relationship or whatever your loss is that has evoked this kind of serious grieving response, it's really important that when you recognize somebody is a sycophant, someone is an energy pirate, someone really does not have your best interest at heart, maybe you finally recognize the relationship has been out of balance for a long time. And it's time to draw some lines. And I'm not saying be mean. I'm just saying declare what is true for you.
And one of your other combinations, cedarwood and ginger, to support clarity of purpose. So how is that going to help us do that? Our own purpose, how we feel about things?
Well, you're going to draw it to you. Again, when you put on cedarwood and ginger and you say, I'm trusting myself to process my feelings in a healthy way, your clarity of purpose comes through. Everybody gets in touch with their purpose. Everybody learns their purpose because they know such unbelievable joy in providing, in participating. I mean, one of the funnest things is to watch my daughter when she's on the pottery wheel. Such, such direct creative connection to the center of like whatever creativity comes through. It's such a joy just to watch her work because she's so connected to clay and so connected to what it is she's creating. So your clarity of purpose comes through as you're doing it. And cedarwood and ginger, it's impossible to stay in your bad feeling soup. It just is.
That's good.
It boosts the transitional thinking ability to visit old wounds and sort through them without getting stuck.
Right.
Allows the process to happen your way, minimizing the distraction or deeper depression.
That's great, because we do have to go through those thinking processes as part of your grieving stage. So that's nice that we have those to help us do that. That's great.
Right, then we have cypress, frankincense, and rose.
Ooh,
It
yum.
that persistent sense of loss.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes when people are going through a process, like a messy divorce, like caretaking of a parent, like caretaking of a child that's ill, we didn't even understand we already were experiencing this persistent sense of loss.
Right.
And when the finality takes place, it's like, oh. And so you use the frankincense, the cypress, and the rose, and you inhale it and you diffuse it, and it will dissolve remorse and
Mm-hmm.
instill optimism. It'll help us to feel the flow of pure love and process at the speed of your heart, not somebody else's rules, not a self help book.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is your way.
In your own time, which
Yeah.
is so important.
Right, and
Mm-hmm.
that's today is just a warm up. We have a all day 3 hour session in Salt Lake City on grieving, where we're going to take you through some more oils and exercises
That's
and
right.
how to express, because expression is so important. Oh, let's talk a little bit about the surprise attacks.
Mm-hmm. And they can hit you at any single time, at any time, out of nowhere. It hits full force sometimes. And you're going along every day, everything's fine, you're at work, it's great, you're productive, everything. And then all of a sudden, one of those triggers hits you. It's okay. Don't belittle yourself for having that setback. It's not a setback. It's part of the process. It's part of the experience. And sometimes the worst thing we can do is start to criticize ourselves for not being able to get through it, or having, have that little episode. So as Sue says, drink more water, okay? Clear those toxins out. Stop criticizing yourself. Make a plan to move forward. And compliment yourself for the things that you have done successfully already. Okay.
Yeah, that's
And
really important, because, like Deb said, the triggers can be very surprising. So
mhm,
I prepare my inhaler, and it goes with me everywhere. I use Joyful Blend or frankincense and bergamot to support me in recentering when I am out in the world, because sometimes things are surprising.
yeah,
And if you inhale your oils and ask to be recentered, that's exactly what will happen. And it's important that if you say, gee, I used to be so productive. Gee, I don't know why I'm tired. Gee, what's wrong with me? There's nothing wrong with you. You're going through a healthy process, and you
mhm,
have to give yourself credit for taking the time to do this.
mhm,
Okay, everything is different.
it's true.
Everything you look at is different. Everything you smell is different. Melissa is very helpful when the mind and heart are. Can you read that part, Deb?
Yeah, when they're racing. And you get this feeling you're attempting to try to make sense of things out of immediate control. And sometimes you just feel out of control because of that. So you want to take Melissa, put it on the roof of your mouth, breathe in with your mouth open, like a really deep breath for about 9 seconds. Focus on being calm and peaceful. You're going to feel that coolness rush through you. And you can do this every 4 hours, and you could do it for several days when you're in the worst part of your distress, when you're just feeling so topsy-turvy and upside down. And it's the whole experience of just doing that is really soothing and calming.
Yeah, and it's very important. You guys have heard me over and over say you must express your feelings. I
Mm-hmm.
don't want you to express your feelings to the people you perceive hurt you long ago. that
Mhm.
serves no purpose. People
Right.
who've been in therapy for years for child abuse, I mean, being abused as children, whether it was verbal or physical, will tell you there's absolutely no satisfaction in going
Mhm.
to a parent 40 years later when you suddenly remember something horrible that happened, because they
Yep.
will claim they don't remember. They in order to protect themselves, they have stuffed it. They have forgotten. They lost their temper. They said
Mm.
bad things to you, like wish you were never born. Whatever scars you're carrying with you that need to be expressed, I'm very big on write it out, burn it, throw it away. Do not show anyone else. Do not discuss it with anyone else.
Mhm.
The expression is for you.
Mhm. And I love your scream on the freeway because I think you and I have both had opportunities to do that. And it's in here in New Jersey, you just let it out, and people aren't even going to pay attention to what you're doing. Just release all those emotions. You yell, scream, rant, rave, openly say what you would want to say to someone without saying it to them personally. Say it to your car, say it to the windshield, get it out.
Right, because if part of your life you were taught you have no ability to claim something that you want or you want to do, or if you learned to take abuse and just suppress rather than express, you will be
Right.
surprised how much is waiting there for you to express. And when you
Mm-hmm.
write it out, you're going to go, well, that really wasn't such a big deal when he said I had football legs. It's the fact that I believe no man would want me because I had football legs, whatever
Mm-hmm.
football legs was. But when you write it out, you go, boy, wasn't it silly that all this time I thought I had to wear long dresses because I believed what an old drunk said. Do you
Mm-hmm.
understand what I'm trying to express?
Yeah, absolutely. And as you said, I think it's so important. Don't write these down in a journal and keep them. You
No.
don't want anyone else reading them. These are your own personal thoughts, your own expressions. As Sue said, burn it, rip it up in little pieces, shred it. I used to throw it away in the river and let it float away, and just the release of letting that all go. But don't leave it around for anyone else to see.
Right. This is not about you getting attention or people feeling sorry for you or you're getting a negative payoff because you're trading wounds. Again, how is it helpful to your
Mm-mm.
discovering your gifts and talents, your virtues you may not even know you had, because you always
Mm-hmm.
had kind of this drape or this curtain blocking the view of your unhappiness?
Mm-hmm.
Process your pain, then you can see your virtues so much better.
Yep.
Oh, we talked about this earlier, Miss Deb.
Absolutely. And it's so true, and I never recognized it myself until I became aware of it. Pay attention to whom your energy increases and decreases around, because that's the universe giving you a hint of who you should embrace and who you should stray from. And as Sue said earlier, it's not a time to be mean to that person because they're not doing it intentionally, but everyone has their own issues. But you have to recognize what's best for you. Um, for example, in my workplace, we have a lounge that people go for breaks or for lunch. And it used to become a can you top this experience of everybody just lambashing everyone. And like, my experience is worse than yours. And so, you know what? I stopped going. And I found I was so much happier not being in that environment every day. So, those are the things that you need to start paying attention to. What's good for you?
Right, because when you are wired from the time you're very young to meet other people's needs, you're not even clear about what makes you comfortable. And sometimes you're surprised when
Mm-hmm.
other people's gossip is suddenly offensive, or you're
Oh,
surprised when you're walking next to somebody that's judging everyone's outfit, everyone's expanded hips, whatever the whining or complaining is, and
mm-hmm.
you're suddenly uncomfortable. That's great, and you need to recognize that.
Mm-hmm.
Several people write really good notes here, and I'm going to read them at the end. I'm not ignoring your notes. It's very important that you understand grieving is not self pity.
Right. Right. And it's the perfect opportunity for us to use our oils. To process it, you need to allow it. You name the feeling and you oil it. And some oils that are really helpful for us: clary sage, bergamot, sandalwood, geranium. They're all great when we use it to relieve ourselves. It's not self-pity. We're not feeling sorry for ourselves. We're acknowledging our feelings in order to let them go. And the use of the oils along with the positive affirmations will certainly help us do that.
Right. And sometimes when you are overcome with self-pity and you just need to cry, I believe you set the timer for 20 minutes. Sob, yell, cry, do whatever you need to do. And then when the timer goes off, stop the pity pot and move on. Clean the sink, clean the refrigerator, do something manual that you will benefit from.
Mm-hmm. I do like this one because it's so true. The way we're raised, we all feel that there's a certain expectation of how we have to behave, but I'm under no obligation to make sense to you, and I'm not, and we're not. And so everyone's different and unique, and we don't have to make sense to anyone but ourselves.
Right. And people who joined us late, there are 2 handouts. And several people initially reported they had trouble printing out the handouts. No, you can do it. It's just going to download, and look for that arrow either in the bottom left of your download program or the upper right part of your screen. You'll see like a little arrow that lights up.
Mm-hmm.
And it will open up and you can print it out, because I thought these would be very helpful for you.
And they are.
And we got to talk a little bit about forgiveness. We got some great exercises you're going to love in Salt Lake City, and you'll be able to take them and share them with your friends.
Yeah.
Forgiveness of myself and others releases me from the past. Forgiveness is the answer to almost every problem. Forgiveness is a gift to myself. I forgive and I set myself free. That never means you sanction somebody from stealing from you. That never means you approve of somebody's misinformation being repeated that was not true, that also stole from you. That doesn't mean that you're okay that somebody chose to leave this world and you were not included in that discussion.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta forgive everyone and everything. Otherwise, you're carrying like this 30-pound weight on your shoulders.
Oh my goodness, that's so
You
true.
don't have to associate with them at all. You can just, I think of it as a photograph. The photograph is a picture of the bad incident. If you burn the photograph, it's now just ashes of that incident. You are not whatever it said you were. You are not frozen in that time as a human being that's flawed. You are frozen in that time only if you want to be. And basically, everything we go through is a lesson. It's not the end of the world. Hang on, got to check 2 of these notes. Oh, yes, it's on your list, the Salt Lake City.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, boy. Sandy, we're going to talk to you about this afterwards.
Yeah, Salt Lake City is Tuesday, September 5th, and that's been posted for you on our Facebook pages and in your notes today.
Okay. So, okay, and it's in the activity sheet. It's on the activity sheet that you can download, or if you can't download it, write to us. We'll send it to you. Because so many people have asked about this topic. I literally get 50 to 75 questions a day. I'm not able to answer them, but we do webinars where I include the information. We have webinars on different Facebook pages. Everything we do, we try to help people get it. That, this is up to you. Sandy lost her son in December 2016. A friend shared with me that the reason your brain is so numb and it seems you can't think is because all of your energy is going to your heart to heal it. That made sense at the time. I feel like
Yeah.
I couldn't think or even function. Even brushing my teeth was strange. But she kept going. God bless you, Sandy. But you're right. The energy goes from your brain that used to balance what you did every day to
Yep.
trying to keep your heart from cracking open or crumbling. You have to,
Yeah.
you have to embrace it. You have to process it. Don't put it off. And the people who say, "Oh, my mother died, I've never been the same." Good. Because all the things she shared with you
Mm-hmm.
is what you're living today. You don't
Mm-hmm.
want to be the same. Normal is not something you want.
No, not at all.
Okay, talk about positive self talk.
Yeah. It's so important to talk to yourself. You need to become aware of your own feelings, of how you're feeling. Have conversations with your inner self. Um, every time a thought about yourself comes to your mind, how would I say this to my best friend? And try to think what you would do in different situations. Keep track of when you're not feeling right, and just always talk to yourself. Make yourself feel better, and just think of how you would try to deal with someone else too, and that will help you find ways um, to deal with it. And I do this. It's the can't challenge the negative thoughts with questions. Oh my gosh. When those negative thoughts enter, I yell out loud, cancel, cancel. I want them out of my brain. They pop in there. And I still do this to this day for anything that I don't want in there. Just cancel it out, find something else to do. You know, you do that with kids. You want to, redirect them to a different activity. You have to do that with yourself when you're trying to go through this. Don't beat yourself up. Why can't I do this? Why can't I stop this? Nope. Cancel it and find something else.
Right. And it's very important that you turn phrases that you may be saying about yourself that, again, was just a habit. You don't even hear it anymore. When you
Mm-hmm.
say, "Oh, I'm not good at that, I give up," I say, "I am enough and I'm getting better." I still take classes at the Apple store. They all
Right.
look forward to it because I ask such weird questions because I come from an era of manual typewriters. So a lot of those pull down little things that are supposed to be helpful, those words still don't mean anything to me. So when you're capable of learning, you say, "I am getting better and better at this."
Right. The reality is that you grieve forever. You will not get over the loss of a loved one, a pet, a spouse, a good friend. You'll learn to live with it. You will heal and you will rebuild yourself around that loss that you've suffered. Okay, you will be whole again, but different. Okay, you're never going to be quite the same, nor should you be the same, or nor would you want to be. Okay, because now your life has changed, and it's like you took a puzzle and you broke it apart and we put it back together just a little bit different way. And
Yeah.
that's okay.
Yes, and it's very important that you acknowledge to yourself. It's like
Mm-hmm.
packing up your house. When you're going to move, you're going to pack the house. Everyone I've ever helped move, the first thing they say to me was, "I didn't know I had collected so much stuff. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know I had stuff that I hadn't touched for years, even if
Right.
they're very neat and clean and stuff." Okay? They didn't know. So go through your stuff. Get rid of it right now. Okay, don't let people make you feel bad or guilty for living your life. It is your life. Live the way you want to. My
Mm-hmm.
daughter cracks up. She's dating a young man who has a long beard and long hair, and he has a great deal of family hair on his arms. And we always crack up because I really like the fact that my husband has no hairy arms or chest or hair on his head. I love that about him. I treasure him. And we always laugh about how funny that difference is, that she's so comfortable with this really nice, hairy guy. And I always like my men clean, freshly shaved, and showered. But
Mm-hmm.
it's not something I would ever apologize for. And there's nothing wrong with guys with beards. I just don't want to date them or shower with them. Okay. It's just something we have that's different. But you don't have to apologize for it because you're not criticizing others.
Nope.
Okay. And everything is changed. And that's really the part that is the hardest for most of us.
Mm-hmm.
Darn, it is. She's not there for me to call. Oh, rats. I can't go to bingo with her anymore.
Right.
You will find other things to do. I didn't say they would be good or fun. You will just find other things to do. And you
Mm-hmm.
are good enough, you are worthy, and you are loved. Please, please, please do not share pain. Do not talk about, Deb just said, my wounds are bigger than yours. I suffered more than you. Because when you're doing that, you're not virtue identifying. You
No,
are
you're not.
not being good to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the activity sheet that is on your little box there to download. If you're
Mm-hmm.
listening to us from your magic phone, when you get home, write to us and we will send you these sheets.
Of
There are
course.
activities. We have a boot camp with Terry and Paul Helms before convention. Tuesday the 5th, a special grief recovery seminar with special oil blends. And like
Mm-hmm.
the sheet that you saw here that has some blends on it, I was just touching on the edge of what we're going to cover because I get so many questions from very wonderful, giving, sensitive people who
Mm-hmm.
want to recover themselves and help others identify virtues. Anyone
Right.
who's ever been to any of my seminars, what I try to get you to do, people remember you got to drink water and you have to
Mm-hmm.
say nice things to yourself and you have to focus on virtues, right, guys?
Absolutely.
Well,
And
Deb and I
oh,
created t shirts,
woohoo!
okay? Because I want you to wear your virtues. I want to remind you to discuss with other people their virtues. The
Mm-hmm.
world is rough enough. All you do is turn on the TV, and in 2 minutes, you got lots of things to be upset about.
It's true.
Please, please, please focus on virtues. We have a special sale on these, and it's on your activity sheet. It's at the
Mm-hmm.
bottom. We're not hustling, we're just communicating.
Right, because it's so important. Right? I love this. Go
Yeah.
ahead. I was just going to say it's so important to be grateful for what we have. And when you're going through the grief process, expressing gratitude for even just getting through a day, an hour, 30 minutes, that's express it and identify something positive within yourself at the same time.
Yes, and
So,
that's one of the things we're going to cover in Salt Lake City. Is Deb
mm-hmm,
and I have put together this great gratitude chart for at the
mm-hmm,
end of the day when you identify your grieving. So you could
yep.
earn stars and take yourself on a reward. Okay? We worked
And
all
I
out for you because initially we all have trouble seeing our virtues, or a lot of people I have met. You guys are all wonderfully virtuous, so maybe you have no difficulty. But I got to tell you, a lot of adults I have met have a hard time saying nice things about themselves in a just accepting manner.
that's true. So we're going to develop that attitude of gratitude. I like that, Sue.
Yes, we love you guys. Thank you for
Absolutely.
being with us. This is recorded, it will be posted later.
Mm-hmm.
We really would like people to be able to focus on virtues because one person at a time, you make the world a better place, starting with yourself.
Absolutely.
Remember that old saying, if mom's unhappy, the whole world suffers, but if grandma's unhappy, just better get up and run? Well, if
No, I've never
you're
heard that.
happy, if you're happy, okay, the people next to you will be happy too. Several people wrote all at once. Where will it be posted? Okay. It will be posted on Personal Peaceful Growth Calendar Facebook page. It will be posted on Hugfest Facebook page.
Right.
And if you want the handouts, write to us at
Happy Cal, HAPPYCAL 359 @gmail.com. And we'll provide the link for the webinar as well as give you the sheets if you need them. Everyone be strong, be well.
Oh, several people asked if they're not attending the convention. Yes, we will have a makeup after conventions. Yes, thank you. Like 5 people in a row said, I'm not going to convention. What can we do? Can I have the link again? All right, ready? Happy Cal, HAPPYCAL 359 @gmail.com. Debbie is very neat and organized, and she is so good about keeping things for me. I send her copies of everything quick before I lose them. Okay. Sometimes my paper room looks like there was a storm in it.
Well, mine looks like that once in a while too. So it's just part of human nature. It's your creative mind. You're always working at it.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
We love you guys. I'm sorry if you can't make it to our class in Salt Lake City, but we definitely will keep you posted on exercises. We'll probably do what we call a grief series.
Okay.
On our where we post these is YouTube's under a secret name. And I'm sorry, a little bit of non-compliance sometimes sneaks in. We don't mean it, but sometimes it does.
Mm-hmm.
But turn me in. I'm of an age I don't care. Yes, no, and Karen Vandenberg. Yes, it'll be on that one too.
Good.
Okay.
Yep, just write to us and we'll give you the links. And if you want to be on our email for all of Dr. Sue's events and our webinar series, just again write to Happy Cal and say, please add me to your email list, and we'll be happy to do that.
Yes, thank you all for coming. We really appreciate it. Be gentle with yourself. Lose all that should stuff.
Mm-hmm. Love yourselves.
Yes.
Love you, Sue. Thanks for everything. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Miss Deb. And we're going to get the star chart together for them. They will so enjoy it.